In this presentation from Clean Virginia Waterways 2023 Stormwater and Plastic Pollution Workshop, Amber Smith discusses Washington State's litter prevention efforts. Amber is the Statewide Litter Prevention Coordinator with the Washington State Department of Ecology. She works with diverse stakeholders and consultants to develop, implement, and evaluate behavior change campaigns focused on reducing litter. She manages contracts and interagency agreements for litter pickup, prevention, enforcement, and a comprehensive litter study. She is passionate about building and leading high-quality programs and teams and leveraging partnerships for greater impacts. She has more than 20 years of experience managing environmental programs, communications, and outreach efforts in Washington.
All right, well, I will get started here. Thank you so much for having me. I'm here today to talk about what we're doing in Washington State around litter prevention. So let's get started. It sounds like I'm hearing your doorbell. I'm going to cover our litter tax and how our litter pickup and prevention programs are funded. I'm going to talk a little bit about the social marketing framework we used to develop our new We Keep Washington Litter-Free social marketing campaign, behavior change campaign, and go into what each of those campaigns are, and then we'll have some time for question and answer at the end. So in Washington State back in 1971, the Model Litter Control Act was passed. And this was actually initiated by manufacturers and wholesalers and retailers. They helped to pass this new litter tax. Around this time, Oregon had just passed a bottle bill. And so they weren't wanting to see a bottle bill in Washington yet. And so this litter tax passed. And so there is a small tax on the sale of items that are typically found in roadside litter, things like tobacco products, cigarettes and tobacco products, all the way to packaging, food containers, beverage containers, things like that. And that tax helps to fund Washington's litter waste reduction recycling programs. And this tax generates between 14 and 15 million a year. It varies, but this biennium, I think we have 14.7 million per year. And these funds from the litter tax go into the waste reduction, recycling, and litter control account. So this account, the waste reduction, recycling, and litter control account, or we call WRLICA, the amount in this account varies based on the amount we get from the legislature plus what we get from the litter tax. And Washington state law tells us how we need to split this account up. 40% goes to litter pickup and prevention programs for Ecology and for other state agencies. 40% funds our waste reduction, recycling, and organics programs and Ecology staff to run those programs. And 20% are our grant programs that go to local governments to support their litter pickup and prevention programs. So we do invest heavily in litter pickup and prevention, and so do our partners at WashDOT. Between the Department of Ecology and the Washington State Department of Transportation, together we spend about $12 million a year on litter pickup. And this last biennium, we had some good funding for litter prevention. Unfortunately, we lost funding for a number of years. Starting in 2009, we lost our funding for litter prevention work. And that funding was restored in 2019 and then I was hired and we began to develop a whole litter prevention strategy. So for the first time in a very long time, our funding has been restored for both litter pickup and litter prevention. And we're able to pass more money on to our local governments. So our community litter cleanup program and our ramp litter cleanup program provide grant funds to local governments to clean up litter, illegal dumping, homeless encampments, and also to do litter prevention and education. We also funded a litter study that we are just wrapping up. Our 2022 litter study should be completed at the end of this month and posted on our website. That's the first litter study we've been able to do since 2004 because of funding challenges. So we are excited to have some updated information about the types, the quantities, the sources of litter in Washington. And litter in Washington is a big problem. COVID really uncovered our problem and made it much more obvious. State and local litter pickup crews were not able to get out there like they were before COVID. So we had some building up of litter because we couldn't get out there. And the litter problem has continued to get worse over time since we were not investing in litter prevention as a state for many, many years. And so we have crews working all around the state. Now we're back up to where we were pre-COVID in terms of staffing and support and partnerships out there. So we are in a better place. But we're picking up a lot of litter, and those same areas become littered again immediately after we pick them up. So we're spending, $12 million a year to clean up litter. And our litter study tells us that there's more than 22 million pounds of litter out there right now. And in some areas, our urban interstate highways, we're finding more than 48,000 pieces of litter per mile. So we can't just pick our way out of the litter crisis that we're seeing in Washington and many other states. We really needed to start investing in behavior change and keeping this litter off the ground in the first place. So Ecology used to have a great comprehensive litter prevention campaign in the early 2000s, and it was also built with the social marketing framework. So social marketing is based on kind of traditional marketing principles, but psychology as well, and really understanding how to change human behaviors. So social marketing tells us that information alone does not change behavior. You cannot just run an advertising campaign and give people information and expect them to change their behavior. You have to really get to know who your priority audience is, really identify what their barriers are, what the benefits and motivators are for them to change their behavior. Use some evidence-based behavior change tools, run a pilot, and then evaluate your results and roll that out on a larger scale. So we use that framework in developing our new campaign. And on the right, it sort of shows this bell curve. Only a small percentage of people, the show me group, you can provide information to them and they will do the right thing and change their behavior just through information alone. Most people fall into this help me group. And this is the best return on investment for behavior change, is that group right there. And there will always be the make me group, which you need law and fines in order to change behavior. So we do have some things that fall in that area as well. So some commonly used behavior change tools that we have incorporated into our new campaign. I won't go through them all, but some common ones that you'll find are commitments and social norms and social diffusion, prompts, incentives, or behavior change tools. So when we were doing our research to develop these campaigns, we also were thinking about what tools and strategies we could use to help change littering behavior. In addition to using a social marketing framework, there's a lot of research out now about using a positive culture framework. Montana State University's Center for Health and Safety Culture has a lot of great information on their website about this, but it's about messaging and framing. And what we're finding is that these more positive messages are more likely to change behavior and social norms over the long term. Our old litter prevention campaign that we ran in the early 2000s was Litter and It Will Hurt. It had a heavy enforcement theme and fines, and it was kind of punitive messaging. And now research is showing that people are moving away from that kind of messaging. So to build those social norms within the community, to avoid creating divisions between us and them, good and bad, addressing the whole population and not just the make me group, and increasing conversations around an issue will also help to change those behaviors. So these sorts of positive messaging that's driven by shared values, beliefs, attitudes, and norms are more likely to be sustained over time. And so we use this in developing our campaign strategy and messaging as well. So when we first started developing our campaign, we did an initial quantitative survey with over 1,100 Washingtonians. We had benchmarks for diversity. In there, we worked closely with a number of other state agencies and a consulting firm to help us do this. And all along the way, we used focus groups, surveys, and message testing with our priority audiences in both English and Spanish to develop our bilingual campaign. We did find that for our campaign in Washington, our priority audience for roadway littering are males 18 to 44 years old. And we did find that most Washingtonians, about 75%, don't litter. So we do have that social norm on our side. So we developed the We Keep Washington Litter Free umbrella brand. We have campaign pages in English and Spanish. And this umbrella brand sits over all of our outreach and our behavior specific campaigns. So we had it transcreated into Spanish. We have advertising and commercials in English and Spanish. And I'm going to show you the commercial that we had made. Hopefully you can hear this.
Every fast food bag that arrives at its proper destination.
Amber, we were only able to hear part of that, but we got the visuals.
Okay. Yeah, so that was our commercial, Small Choices, Big Impact, and it sort of overlays over all of these very specific littering behaviors. And it did win an award that we were proud of. And so we do use that when we do our advertising. Underneath that, We Keep Washington Litter Free umbrella brand, the first behavior change campaign that we launched was Secure Your Loads for Safer Roads, focusing on the safety and litter issues of having items fall out of vehicles or blow out of vehicles because they aren't properly secured. So we launched that in May 2021, and this is an annual campaign that we run every year. It kicks off around the National Secure Your Load Day on June 6th, and it runs through the month of June. And so I'll give an overview of that campaign, and I do have a commercial there. We'll see if you can hear the commercial on the next slide.
Nope, can't hear it.
Oh, too bad. Okay. Well, you can see these on our website. I'm sorry the sound isn't working. So one of the things that we do as part of our Secure Your Load for Safer Roads campaign is we work with local governments. We choose 3 or 4 local governments through a pilot that we ran to collect data at their solid waste facilities for 2 weeks before the campaign ran to measure, what percentage of the loads coming into these solid waste facilities are not secured, and then do the same data collection 2 weeks after the campaign is run, and then again 1 year later to measure ongoing behavior change. So we did see that, well, the first thing we found out is that there are a very large percentage of unsecured loads coming into solid waste facilities across our state. Some facilities were seeing as high as 60 and 70% of their loads were not properly secured. And this is, obviously a road safety issue. It causes more than 300 crashes a year in Washington, including multiple fatalities, but it also litters our roadways. And so it is an important issue to address. We measured a 3.4% decrease in unsecured loads immediately following the three to 4 week campaign. And 1 year later, an additional 1.5% decrease across the counties we worked with. So our local government partners, they ran free cargo net giveaway events in their community. They distributed an educational brochure and a window cling to help to increase that social norm. They also did ongoing education through their solid waste facilities and at community events. And we ran a follow-up survey with the individuals that came to these free cargo net giveaway events and received a net. We did a survey. Almost half of them were not always securing their load. 40% said they were now securing their load more often. 83% were likely or extremely likely to talk with others about the importance of securing their load. And 91% said the campaign made it easier for them to secure your load, better understanding how to do it. So we provided the cargo nets to the local governments and they ran the events, and we helped with the signups and the follow-up survey with participants. We also have retail partnerships with more than 50 big box home improvement stores around the state. So the Home Depot, Lowe's, Ace Hardware. We trained over 150 of their store staff, and we put up educational tear sheets in key areas in their stores. They some stores also set up end cap displays with our educational information, along with a bunch of load securing equipment that could be purchased at the store. We obviously do a lot of advertising, targeting our priority audience and public relations, and we partner with this Washington State Patrol on this. They're a really great messenger for the safety issues around securing your load. And when we did our research, the safety aspect of secured loads was much more motivational than the environmental benefits or the not littering. It really, the main motivator was safety, and I don't want to hurt someone on the road. And so State Patrol is a great partner for that. And so there's some stats there about our advertising and public relations efforts. It was very successful. And State Patrol is a wonderful partner for this campaign. The next behavior specific campaign that we developed was Not Littering, as simple as that, or Not Littering, simple as that. We launched that last September. And this is for all of that sort of deliberate littering, the tossing the items out the window, a lot of what we see on our roadside. And a big part of that was giving away free litter bags. So just like the Secure Your Load for Safer Roads, the behavior change tool we provided was the free cargo nets. Through this campaign, the behavior change tool we chose was a reusable car litter bag. And that did come from our research with litterers in Washington. 26% of litterers said that they would stop littering if a friend, family member, or passenger asked them not to. And the majority of litterers also said if they had a litter bag in their vehicle, they would be less likely to litter. So we tried to incorporate those two things into this campaign. I do have a commercial, but I'm going to skip it. You should check it out on our website. It's really funny. We did use humor in this campaign, and it really resonated well with our priority audience when we did our message testing. It kind of makes a joke. It's like a joke news show, like, Tim, how did you stop littering? This is, it must have been so hard. He's like, nope, I just used a car litter bag and threw my coffee cup in the garbage. And so kind of making light of littering as this big issue, but it has very simple solutions. Don't overthink it. There's really easy things you can do to help the problem. I'll skip that. So as part of our advertising strategy, we did a lot of advertising at gas stations around the state, about 450 gas stations. We did the pump top signs as well as the commercials at the pump if that was available, and window clings inside the store on the coolers. We also, partnered with the Department of Transportation. We put litter prevention messaging up on their electronic reader boards on our highways signs multiple times throughout the year. And then we partnered with a a grocery store chain that's across our state called Fred Meyer. We gave them these reusable litter bags, and they distributed them for a 2 to 3 week period of time through their customer service counters. So a lot of our advertising was pointing people to go to Fred Meyer, get your car litter bag. And then we ran a survey with people that received a litter bag. And so we got good feedback from people who completed that survey. About 600 people completed that. Most were very satisfied with the experience with getting their bag and the experience of getting their bag. Most people had never used a litter bag in their car before. And before receiving the bag, about 10% said that themselves or passengers always, often, or sometimes toss litter out the window. And 27% said that trash often or sometimes will accidentally blow out of the window. And after receiving the litter bag, 80% said that they always or often use their new bag to dispose of their trash, that themselves and their passengers are littering less, and trash is accidentally blowing out of the vehicle less than it was before. And overall, people, 79% of participants were very likely or extremely likely to talk with others about the importance of not littering, preventing litter. And 87% said that they agree that the statement, "My litter bag made it easier for me to properly dispose of trash while traveling in the car." So we did get some good feedback from people who received the litter bags, and we're going to continue this partnership and this strategy of distributing bags. So again, we did a lot of advertising and public relations, got a lot of good coverage. And in our 3-week campaign, we reached 78% of our priority audience, which are men in Washington, ages 18 to 44, an average of 23 times. And we know with changing behavior, you can't just do things one time. This has to be an ongoing, continuous, long-term strategy to change behaviors. So the amount of times we reach people and the length of time in which we do that increases our likelihood of actually changing these behaviors. So we also created a litter prevention partner toolkit for all of our local government, nonprofit, and business partners. In there, we have resources that they can use for their community education, social media, all of our advertising assets, highway litter signs, window clings, you name it. We're continuing to add and build onto that. And we encourage our local government partners to amplify our campaign efforts. At the same time, we're doing that and use our toolkit to help amplify those messages in their community.